When I first started, David sent me this amazing email about all the things Salander should be, all the things she shouldn't be, and then at the bottom it said, "Now it's in your hands. I have complete faith. Get going." I mean, it was specific that she needs to look real and authentic. She can't look moneyed. You know, she has to be iconic in her own way. You know, she has to be dark and brooding and not being flashy and loud and not looking like, you know, like she's in a punk rock band, not having all these crazy spikes and, you know, the PVC leathers, and it was just making her look really cool and, you know, really worn in and kind of used. For me, the Swedish version, their Salander was quite loud and drawing attention to herself. I just wanted our Lisbeth, if she chooses to, she just kind of fades into the shadows. You know, she's not drawing attention to herself, but then she looks really off-putting as well at the same time. When David and I started talking about Salander, what she would look like, his big thing was, it takes place over a year. I can't have the same haircut the whole entire time. And that was one of his things with the other movie was, it's always the same haircut, it's always the same expression. So there's a guy that like I really love that I've worked with for years off and on, and I know him as an acquaintance and a friend, and his name's Danilo Dixon, and he's probably like a bit older than I am, but he's this authentic punker from the day. He's like lived all over the world, and so when I brought him up to Sion and David, when they were talking about cutting Rooney's hair, I was like, if this guy can't get it, no one's gonna get it, because he's definitely in the fashion business, but he's so real and lived and knows the punk scene. So it was like, he's not just gonna give us some crazy fashion haircut that we can't do anything with, you know, he'll show us options and things. So we had met in New York, and it was David, Sion, myself, Rooney, and Danilo. And at the time, Rooney's hair was to the middle of her back. And she was really ready. She's like, I'm ready, I need this, you know, and so we're all kind of standing there eager. And the week before, Danilo and I met at the office here and went over all the hair ideas, and then he did a sketch compiling like all the pieces that we liked. And so we showed it to Rooney and discussed what he was gonna do. And so he kind of braids her hair, and then he has this really great voice, kind of like the caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. And he's like, okay, honey, are you ready? I'm gonna cut it. And she was like, okay. You know, and David's standing there grinning, and Sion and myself, and he just cut her hair, and the hands are this long braid, and she just held it while he finished cutting like the rest of her hair. It's an extreme haircut. I mean, you know, it was like the micro bangs, and the underneath got shaved, and the whole back was chopped off, and then these long pieces in the front, and he was showing us all the different ways to wear it, like pinning it up and giving it a samurai knot, and like putting it down, and then hawking it out. And originally David wanted to shave off her eyebrows. And when he said that, Rooney was like, oh my God, like, what? And I was like, you know, maybe let's not shave them, because we'll have to do that like probably every 7 to 10 days, because little dots are gonna come out. And I was concerned that if we continued to shave them, who knew what was gonna be the outcome after a year of continually shaving them. So Dave was like, let's bleach them, you know? So Danilo bleached them out this really fair blonde, and it was just perfect. It just changed her look so much. And then, you know, she was like, can I have a minute alone? And she went up to her room for like 15 or 20 minutes.
We dyed the hair, we shaved the head, we bleached the eyebrows, and then we were gonna go get pierced right after that. So I went upstairs to change, and like I was totally fine the whole time. Like, I was really together. I was ready for it. I was excited for it, and I got up and I looked in the mirror, and for like 5 minutes I was like really freaked out. And then I gave myself 5 minutes, and then I was really fine with it. And you know, after phase 1 in Sweden, when they put my eyebrows back on, I was like, bleach them back, bleach them back. I was freaked out seeing myself with eyebrows, because this is sort of how I see myself now. I personally think that bleaching the eyebrows was the best thing that we did for the look of the character. It's the decision that I stand behind more than anything else that we've done, is bleaching the eyebrows. It really put our own stamp on it.
She came down and met me and David on the street, and then we went over to a tattoo and piercing salon that my friend has, and she got her eyebrow pierced like the same day. So it was this whole like, you know, instant like Salander, just like the instant transformation. I guess it was also good not to give her a chance to think or go back, or it was just all in this one day, and then she just emerged, you know, into this character.
I mean, this one obviously you can't fake. and I just wanted to have some just because it would feel more like I was living with it. I mean, these ones are fake, and they're actually even worse than the real ones. They hurt, and they're actually slowly piercing me, so I wish that I had gotten them.
The nose ring, is that matching? Very critical, because it's not pierced, so it slides up and down.
Okay,
Let's play the master back.
Haven't noticed it moving around, but...
Okay. Just gotta make sure that it's in the same place every time.
Oh, okay.
How about the piercing?
Okay.
Yeah, that was my idea. I mean, he was definitely like, yeah, you could do that if you want. But he didn't ever ask me or tell me that I had to do that. I really wanted it because I wanted to get some of the piercings so that I could really like live with it. But that one was important to me because there's so much nudity in the film. Like, because of that piercing and all of the tattoos, when I don't have my clothes on, it's like it's not my body. Like, I am still in character. It felt like sort of a way to hide. Like, this is not me, this is the character. The safety pin was his idea. But he's really squeamish about piercings. He didn't come for this one, but he came for all the other ones. He couldn't even, like, be in the room when they were doing it. I was like, who are you? How do you...
Sion wanted to have Pat McGrath conceptualize all the makeup for the whole film. And so she came to town and did probably 30 looks or more. And for me, this was my dream team to get to work for Pat McGrath, Danilo, Sion, David. It's like, you know, it's like the most creative people that you could get in a room. And so it was great. But again, it was the throwing out of ideas. And Pat never said no. It was always, let's try this. All right, that's major. You know, and it would just be, she'd always be like, darling, it's major. You know, and so for 2 days, she just tried various looks, all the way from like stuff that could possibly be for two to the Irene Nesser look, you know. So that was really fun to get to see that transition of Rudy from like having like the crazy mask for like the revenge rape scene to these dark Bordeaux kind of eyes, and then being all cleaned up and just being like bare, nothing at all, like a really matte lip, and then this really pretty Irene Nesser makeup.
Head back, like your face betrays no pain. Ready, and action.
This is really gonna hurt.
The dragon definitely was the hardest thing. It was like kind of this whole process, showing him to David and him saying he liked that part or this part. And then the same thing like for the phoenix on her leg. Under one of her ribs, she has her mother's name and rest in peace. They're really pretty, like the handwriting of it's really nice. And then her little wasp. Then our favorite, the saying on her forearm. It's written in Swedish. You'd never get a close-up of it, but you know, it's like kind of it was like the inside kind of secret society joke of what her...
What does it say?
It says, ultimately, I made her a t-shirt that she wears in one of the scenes that says, fuck you, you fucking fuck. So we wanted a Swedish equivalent to fuck you, you fucking fuck. So I had a Swedish friend of mine do a translation of all these different things. So it actually says, fuck you, you cocksucking idiot. And this beautiful Swedish font.
I guess I must have alarmed you, showing up like this.
If you touch me, I'll more than alarm you.
You know, physically, as skinny as she is right now, she is kind of gawky and she's supposed to be kind of bony. And I just said, you know, I don't want you to stand like a girl. I want you to stand like a 14-year-old boy. So I want you to go take skateboarding lessons because I want you to have that weird center of gravity, you know. And I felt it was important that she be a little androgynous.
This is a meeting that you dread. So you're coming over here. See if you can figure out a way that this can look as skateboardery and like...
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, you want to get your like way over your right. I think that feels, yeah, I think that feels, I mean, it feels appropriately awkward. Left foot out in front just a little bit. Yeah, so it's just a little bit like, I mean, most of them I'm going to see here, and then they'll see.
It's kind of good.
Yeah, and I would do that.
But, I mean,
Put that one
we
in.
should try to look after this, the fact that like watching Russia, then
Yeah.
she's kind of...
Yeah. Yeah, I'm ready to throw some hard drives at you. Try putting your index finger in your...
Rooney's very feminine, like in her personal thing, like, you know, it's She came a couple times for when we were doing the testing, and she'd show up in like a chiffon, kind of floral little dress and like flip-flops. And the second time she showed up, I was like, dude, you cannot wear that dress anymore. She's like, what? And I was like, and we were like newly getting to know each other, but because it was like we were spending all this time instantly together, you know, I was like, you just can't wear that. It's not good for you. It's not good for me. It's not good for the character. So then the next time she came, she had something like some short little floral kind of dress on again, but then with tights and combat boots. And that's when I was like, look, Molly Ringwald, that's not working either. And then she went, who? And that's when I realized, okay, different generation. And then after that, she started, like, she'd show up and she would be Salandered out. She was really open. After we started going for a while, then, you know, I'd go to her with different changes, like, here's the scene next week, what do you see yourself wearing there? And we got to put stuff together. And she started having her favorites and then, like, things she liked more. She's like, I would wear this because of that. And so it was great, you know, instead of me just saying, here's your clothes. Salander definitely had just basic pieces, but everything's kind of dirty and everything's really worn in. Everything I did for the film, we hand-aged it down ourselves. We did a lot of distressing and a lot of top wash treatments and aging and over-dyeing on them, so it was a tedious process to get the fabrics to the condition that we wanted them to be in.
Go ahead and be in your position.
She has like jeans that I originally bought and I shredded them, so then we have some shredded jeans. We have some great combat boots that are aged down.
Are you ready? And action!
I like anything that makes you look a little bit animalistic. Like, I like a shoe that makes you look like you have a hoof. I like anything that sends us back to like our roots of, you know, animal/insect shells, little shells and protectors. And then of course like the hoodies, because she always has to have a hoodie. And the thing that David called the Jedi Knight is the big snood, the oversized snood that she wears when she's hacking into like Winterstrom's equipment.
Trisha's been amazing. I mean, she literally has done so much beyond being a costume designer on this film. I mean, she's literally like our in-house expert on everything. Like, she's the one who picked out the ball gags and the dildos and the handcuff, like everything. A lot of that kind of stuff all came from her, and she just knows that world.
Let's see if this isn't distracting. Okay, none of this.
Try a leg, maybe?
Let's try a leg. Yep, walk it away. Here we go. So, would you have a scarf?
No. Trying to accentuate that I have no boobs. Hence the
Perfect.
big buttons.
Always thinking, prepare. Yeah, just prepare. Excuse me. And action.
Definitely, you know, I joke, I am a kinder, gentler Salander. When I was younger, I was probably like really angry in late teens, early 20s, you know, had to fight my way. And, you know, I lived on my own. I moved out when I was like 17 or 18, and you develop these, you know, toughnesses about you. But I think with David, it's like he probably saw maybe a bit of me somewhere in that character, but also I think he knew I would get it, that I would get who she was and get what she should look like. I have to say it was the best experience of my life. Some nights I'd go to sleep for 2 hours and then get up the next day and have fittings, then have to drive out to set, shoot at night, drive back to Stockholm, do more fittings. Even then, I wouldn't change it. I told Sion the other day, I said, if I could do it all over again and I only got the choice and option to do it the same way, I would do it the same way. You know, I would want to do it. I'd want to be a part of it again.